You ever stare at a sleek wine fridge on a product page, picture it perfectly tucked into your kitchen, and then get it home only to realize it's a hassle to fit, the temperature swings like a roller coaster, or the lighting just looks cheap under real kitchen light? I've been there, and that's why I wanted to make a video that actually walks through the everyday realities before you click Add to Cart. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the Allavino 56-bottle dual-zone right hinge model is one of those pieces that promises both style and function. The black door is marketed as fingerprint-resistant, which sounds great if you have a busy entertaining space where people are constantly reaching for a glass. In practice, the matte finish does hold up better than a glossy surface. After a few weeks of casual use, I noticed only faint smudges that you can wipe away with a soft cloth. The real win for me was the customizable LED lighting. You can pick from 9 colors, and because the LEDs are recessed behind the door, they give a subtle glow without washing out the label details. If you're the type who likes to set a mood for a dinner party, the soft amber or cool blue can be switched on with a tap, and it stays dim enough not to interfere with the ambience. What really matters in a wine fridge is temperature stability, especially if you're storing both reds and whites. Allavino uses what they call Truvino cooling technology, a thermoelectric system that's supposed to keep the interior within a tight range. I tested it by setting the red zone to 55°F and the white zone to 45°F, then placed a couple of bottles that were already at room temperature on each shelf. Within about 30 minutes, the reds cooled down enough to taste decent, and the whites were pleasantly crisp after an hour. The digital control panel is straightforward. A simple dial to set the exact temperature and a small display that shows both zones at once. There's no confusing menu hierarchy, just a direct way to adjust the numbers, which is a relief compared to some higher-priced models that hide the settings behind layers of submenus. Installation is another place where expectations often clash with reality. The unit measures roughly 34 inches tall, 23 inches wide, and the same depth, so it's not a giant, but you do need a dedicated space with at least a few inches of clearance on the sides for ventilation. Allavino advertises that it can be built-in or freestanding, and that flexibility is genuine. I placed it on a sturdy kitchen island, left a half-inch gap for airflow, and plugged it into a standard 120-volt outlet. The only hiccup was the right hinge door. You have to make sure the hinge side faces the open space, otherwise you'll end up with the door swinging into a countertop edge. It's a small detail, but worth checking before you order. Now, who should actually consider buying this fridge? If you're an enthusiast who enjoys having a mix of reds, whites, and maybe a few sparkling bottles on hand, the dual-zone capability is a real advantage. The 56-bottle capacity fits nicely for a small collection, enough for a couple of dozen reds and a similar number of whites, plus a few larger bottles like magnums if you arrange the flex count shelving just right. The flex count system is essentially a set of adjustable brackets that can be moved in increments, letting you cradle the bottles in a way that reduces the chance of them tipping over when you open the door. I tried loading a few oddly shaped bottles, a Bordeaux with a larger neck and a slim Prosecco, and the shelves could be tweaked to hold each securely. That kind of flexibility is handy if you don't stick to a single bottle shape. On the flip side, if you're looking for a massive cellar-style storage solution, this isn't it. 56 bottles sounds decent until you factor in a growing collection, occasional gift bottles, or larger formats. You'll quickly outgrow it if you buy a new vintage every few months. Also, the fridge runs on a standard compressor system, not a dual-zone compressor, meaning both compartments share the same cooling unit. In extreme ambient temperatures, say you live in a very hot climate or the unit is placed near a stove, you might notice the compressor cycling more often, which can lead to a slight increase in the electric bill. It's not a deal-breaker for most households, but it's something to keep in mind if energy costs are a big concern. Another practical consideration is noise. The Allavino does make a low hum, typical of refrigeration units, but it's faint enough that it blends into kitchen background sounds. I placed it near a dishwasher that runs in the evenings, and the fridge's sound was barely noticeable. If you plan to put it in a living room or a quiet home office, the hum might be a tad more apparent, but still far quieter than many larger wine coolers I've heard. A subtle downside that's easy to overlook is the